Welcome to the Friends of Zeus podcast. This is episode 71. Let me get the business out of the way. You can find us now on Spotify, YouTube, the Facebook, Rumblings on Rumble,
Lots of
Stitcher, Monster Rumblings, Stitcher, as well as Anchor and AOL. I'm not AOL. Who uses AOL anymore? Do you know, Jack?
AOL is still out there. People still use it.
And Apple Podcasts. And we were talking about it. We're gonna start throwing some stuff up on the TikTok just to see how that plays out.
We are.
I'm going to, but that'll be a work in progress. But so tonight, Tom wanted to talk about it being the end of the world, the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, and basically that we're Rome and that society is dead. That being said, I'll throw the reins over to you, Tom, and tell us what sparked this in your mind.
Well, I'm eager to get to it, but first I think we should acknowledge we've got a returning guest of honor.
Daddy.
And maybe he should say hello and tell us what he's been up to.
Good to see y'all again. Well, I don't know exactly what precipitated this. There was rumblings that perhaps you all had managed to generate 1 cent. 7 cents. So I got a whiff of
cash
of a payday. So like, hey, I found a way to.
He can smell the copper.
Well played, man.
Well, God, I don't know what to tell you. Don't expect too much.
Yeah, just been. As society crumbles, trying to start a business and grow a business as everything is growing more expensive, and taking all of life savings and trying to put it into that, and seemed intelligent. So
that's perfect okay, let's start with that then. So Jason, you've got a business. I'm going to share my screen and show you a video.
Yes.
Tell me what you would do in this situation.
Maybe.
What type of business store do you have, Jason? Like what genre or what have you?
What kind of business store is it, Jason?
The business store is a bakery.
Cool. Okay. So
my wife is Japanese, so we've got a French Japanese sort of fusion bakery going on.
Nice.
Okay, so Jason, I'm sure you got some high-end cream puffs there in your bakery. So
I
imagine
have
this
so
is
many
your
things.
He is the high-end cream puff.
Oh wait. Okay, guys, watch this and we'll talk about it.
Police say the heist went down like this. Monday night, just before 8 o'clock, 10 men swarmed the store, 9 of them grabbing clothes off the racks, sprinting out, and making off with more than $30,000 worth of merchandise.
They had planned this out.
Pleasant Prairie Police Chief David Smetana says the thieves knew exactly what they were after.
This isn't a group of 10 people walking by a store.
Okay, that was one. Let me show you another one here.
The theft happened earlier this month inside a Balenciaga
This one they stole
store.
$90,000
It's just one
worth
of
of
several
handbags.
similar crimes all over the tri-state, emboldened criminals seemingly fearless of the legal consequences. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Kristen Thorne.
It took the group from Newark just 24 seconds to steal 48 handbags from the Balenciaga store in East Hampton Village 2 weeks ago.
When she went into the store, she asked about a pair of shoes.
Okay, and the other one was 30 seconds. So, and this is happening a lot, mainly in Democrat-run cities, and I'm not purposely trying to bash them, but they've had a lot of defund the police since 2020. And these are the results of defund the police. You're seeing things like this. You're seeing things like in Portland, they've got the no pursuit law for the police where they're not allowed to pursue a fleeing vehicle. So what's happening in Portland is that you've got, and all across the state of Washington, where people, when they see the lights in the rear view mirror, they just keep on going. And it's happening a lot and a lot.
Why do I picture Homer running from the police, but he's like riding away on a tricycle that's too small for him?
That would work in Portland because they're not allowed to chase you. So, I mean, it's just, it seems crazy to me. I mean, what is the world coming to? You've got all of this. I mean, I don't know, Jason, since you're a business owner, what is your thoughts? You know, if somebody just comes in and grabs something and runs out the door and you call the police and they won't do anything.
I would, well, it's happened
already
a couple of times. Yeah.
He hired some of them.
One of them was Zeus.
True. Well, I would like to think that that's just reserved for the most extreme, insane places in our country. The neighborhood that even though it is Washington, D.C., the neighborhood where our bakery is, after a couple of years of increasing, a variety of increasing incidents, and I think one was just a couple of weeks ago where some young guy just started shooting people from his apartment.
Wow.
And one of the local, I guess, community newsletters of sorts talked about how they used to have a regular, I guess, dedicated patrol officer or force that would
walk the streets.
Yeah, would walk the streets, and then at some point, I think it was prior to actually defund the police, that stopped. But now they're like, okay, we should probably get back to this because there's been an increase of obviously mentally ill individuals along the street who would just go in, they act violently, they take things, incidents like the shooting and robberies. There's a 7-Eleven on the corner that got robbed, and there's just CVS on the other corner and that got robbed. So
wow,
that's some bullshit too.
And this isn't exactly a shabby neighborhood like those places, right? Those were all high-end areas. So
are there any like violence associated with these, or people brandishing weapons of any kind that you in general?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody was shot to my knowledge, but I think the 7-Eleven robbery did involve a firearm, as well as the CVS. We had at least one crazy woman who would come in and grab things from our store. She'd pick things up and threaten our employees, threaten customers who may have been in there. We had a couple of sketchy people. One guy would post up outside and just scream out into the void as people walked by. Haven't seen him recently. Haven't seen her recently either. And I did see a couple of arrests made. So I don't know.
The problem is that what people are seeing, that even when there is an arrest, and the arrests are rare, but the people will just be back out on the street within 24 hours. So there's not a lot of substance to the arrest. So there's not really a deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, there's the woman who was sort of repeatedly coming. She was the first one I saw got arrested, and she was trying to kick the police while handcuffed, and she was just continuously screaming and cursing at him. Yeah. They took her away, and sure enough, next day she was saw her walking past the store again. So
even after kicking the police officer.
Oh yeah,
which
absolutely.
That would seem to me to be a serious crime.
Yeah, Absolutely.
How disheartening does it have to be to the cops that that are, I mean, granted, she probably did no, serious bodily harm, and I'm sure they've dealt with worse, but how bad's it got to feel when you go through all that trouble to enforce the law and they just let them out the next day?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of it is, I mean, as far as like not, is it recidivist, like the same people doing it again and
Recidivism.
again?
Yeah.
Yeah, recidivism. Or I don't, my gut feeling is that it's not new people all doing it saying, well, that Johnny got away with it, so now I'm going to do it. It's probably, I mean, there's probably some of that, but this is just a gut feeling. It's probably the same people that are doing this again and again, would be my guess.
I don't think most people wake up and go, I want to do crime stuff today. They it's really sinister people that go down that path. I think most people want to get through the day with as little risk to themselves or others as possible. But
unless it's no longer a big risk. I mean, and how much is, I mean, again, what's motivating people? Is it drugs?
Poverty?
Is it, well, I don't know. I mean, is it opportunity? Is it getting back at the man? Is it like, what is it?
In places like San Francisco and Los Angeles, they're having huge problems because they've made laws where if you steal anything under $1,000, they won't really prosecute
Yeah,
you.
that's class.
So that's ramped up
That's classic government.
shoplifting.
Yeah.
Stores like Walgreens has closed a lot of stores in San Francisco, and there's a lot of break-ins. And even I've heard from a lot of people where if you travel out to California, if you leave your laptop in the car, the window will just get smashed. Somebody will grab your backpack right out of your car and take off with it because nobody's going to prosecute that.
See,
it's a
now
huge
that
problem.
is a point where I would probably get a weapon. But that's when I would feel like I needed a weapon. That's anarchy.
What are you going to do with your weapon? I mean, it's not, are you going to, because it's not really a death penalty situation where you're going to shoot somebody because they're taking your laptop.
No, but you want to deter them.
You're going to point it at them?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not living in that.
They won't get arrested. You'll get arrested.
Yeah, that's the fucked up thing about it.
Yeah. They'll call the police, have you get arrested, and once you're gone, then they'll break into your car and take whatever's there.
I mean, the thing is, the veneer of our like civil society is very thin, right? It exists because we kind of make a agreement as a society to live by it and enforce it. But if people want to push it, and if there's prosecutors that refuse to prosecute and to make there be consequences, it can unravel very quickly. And you get someone like Zeus who is not thinking about how to harm someone or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna get a gun and shoot somebody, so
I'm not saying
I know, but what I'm saying is you would never even think about that if you weren't living in a place. I mean, if you're not confronted with the issue, you're not even going to start going down that path. I mean, it makes people want to arm themselves. It makes people be more suspicious of each other, and it's a spiral downward. Trust goes down,
right? It's the brazen behavior of just walking up to somebody's car and stealing their hard-earned goods or money from them with little thought of consequence. And that's where I feel like it's not so much that I would want a gun in that situation. It's that I'd want a gun because it's a sign of a rapidly deteriorating situation. And if they can get away with that, who's to say they can't get away with breaking into your house and stealing under $1,000?
One of my customers actually did have his computer stolen from his car. He's a computer scientist. So he wrote an app to geolocate his laptop, and he took it to the police, and they would not follow up on it. He showed them live. He says, my laptop is here at this location right now. Go get it. And they would
wouldn't
not
do it.
They're like, they wouldn't do it.
Did they give any reason?
That 2,000 mules geo-tracking stuff, did they?
Yeah, exactly. It was an open investigation, resources, or they didn't want to use his.
Yeah,
they gave him some, some
BS
excuse. We'll look into it. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks for the assist.
And-
wink, wink. Leave.
And that's a breakdown too. I mean, I've had conversations in the past with police officers in situations similar to that. And it's like, it's not like TV where they're sliding across the hoods of police cars and knocking doors down. They're like, all of a sudden, I don't know, man, I can't do anything. It's like, Larry Moe and who's it, Curly? It's like Larry Moe and Curly. I mean, the question, and again, I always like to kind of dig a little deeper, but like, so why is this happening? Like, why do we have prosecutors that aren't pursuing charges? Why do we have laws being written that say you can steal $1,000? I mean, this is self-inflicted, right? It hasn't always been like this. And so why is it happening?
I think the genesis is pretty clear. You got a world in chaos right now. You got organizations that want to defund the police, which I never ever thought defunding the police was the answer. In fact, I think more money should be invested in the police to make them better at their jobs. And this is not even to say that they're necessarily doing a poor job, but now they're limited in their resources, and probably the guys that we got there that are not chasing them are probably the better cops of the group, because they're sticking around and doing what they signed up for regardless. And for them, I mean, I get $1,000 is not worth putting your life as a police officer at risk. I mean, they've already got a bullseye on their back just walking around. So, I mean, I do get the $1,000 thing, and I get in our current state of affairs why it's that way. However,
yeah,
go ahead.
I don't get it, because human nature is you're just going to have a lot of people that are stealing $950 worth of stuff all the time. People are smart.
No, I get. I don't know.
They are. That's what's happening. I mean,
yeah. Look what our smart voters have done.
I'm just saying.
I think half the people are smart, almost exactly half.
But I'm saying that's what's happening. People are like knowing how much they're stealing and things like that.
Yeah, but this is, again, I think you brought this point up last week. I think that if we were to break down a lot of these breakdowns, if we were to break down, if we were to look at these situations like this, I bet you we're going to find a lot of the same things, that where all the murders are, and where all the, there's these key, like, what do you call it? Like when there's a shock wave from an earthquake, the
epicenter.
The epicenter. There's gonna
but
be.
It doesn't have to be that way. I mean, look in New York.
No. But what I'm saying is, I bet if we looked at these crimes in not just murder but other crimes, because one begets the other, that we're gonna find that they're probably mostly in the same places.
No, I mean, because you can control.
You don't need to get shitty.
Look at New York City. No. New York City was one of the worst places. So much murder, crime. And when Giuliani went in there and he brought the no broken window rule, where the police officers, so they would start going after the little crimes like vandalism, graffiti, broken windows. And by going after the little rules, it would prevent the little law breaking. It would prevent the bigger crimes. And New York City got so clean. They had never seen New York City the way it was under Giuliani, in terms of it was so safe and clean and remarkable. So it can be done. You
And that's
just have
smart
to
because
address it the right way. But what these cities are doing, Portland and Seattle and San Francisco and Los Angeles, and a lot of it, to answer Mike's question, I think it goes back to the George Floyd situation. It's kind of a knee jerk to George Floyd, where they're like, okay, let's just not even pull people over for traffic violations. Let's just not even engage with criminals. And maybe that way, if we just do a hands-off approach, maybe that'll work. That's not working. And it's
no, and I agree.
It's a horrible approach.
I agree. I think also that when you attack these smaller, less likely to be violent crimes,
It
when
works. It works.
yeah, because you're showing a presence without putting yourself in danger, and it deters the heavier stuff because there's a presence.
Right.
And
Yeah, because they're like, okay, if they're going to come after me for breaking this window, I better not even think about doing anything serious.
exactly, which is not the case, but it's an
But,
interesting.
I mean, New York City today. Look behind me. That's Bill de Blasio's New York City.
That was actually taken today.
Yeah.
That photo.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
They were
reverted
here
back
the whole
to
time.
the land of the lost with so much crime and murder. It's insane, because if you don't, why? I mean, they gave up on it because he was a Republican. They didn't want to, and they thought it was racist, to the approach that he had. But I mean, it worked, and it was safe.
Well, you got to
No, I
ask
agree.
yourself. So, like, again, what's the reason? I mean, and when I take a step back and I look, I'm like, okay, it seems like the worst thing to be right now is like middle class American, because you're not getting away with anything. This administration hired, what was it, like 70,000 more IRS agents in the last year. Obviously, prices, inflation. I mean, every time we turn around, we're getting battered. Stores, we're shop owners, stores getting robbed. No consequence to any of that. So I always believe that things have a reason. There's things that happen for no reason, but when it's this consistent over many cities, over an entire country, like through our culture, there is some intentional behavior driving this, and
it really feels like they are trying to give us this dose of what we think revelations will be like, chaos in the streets, famine, pestilence.
I'm sure.
I mean, it's lame,
right
but
now.
this is LA.
Like this.
This is like the tents, the homeless problem, and there's just people just brazenly. They just set up a tent. Look at this, like right in front of a building. These huge tents. What if you were the store owner? And they put porta potties. Did you see that? For the homeless people, they set up porta potties.
And this isn't
miles
helping.
and miles of this.
And the thing is, this is not compassion. That's the sort of thing like
on the street. Sorry, Mike. You'll see like outdoor, open air drug use. Look at this guy in the middle of the street. I don't know what he was doing. There's a lot of like mentally ill people out there, drug abusers. Look at these tents. You can't even walk on the sidewalk. Look at this guy pushing down the middle of the road. I don't know. Man, it's crazy. What do you do? Other than, people are moving out of California as fast as they can. But I mean, what's the answer? I'll get off of that. So
Guns are the answer.
Would Tor agree with that?
No, I don't think he would. Nor do I. I mean, I don't know, man. We need a hard reboot. We need something so frightening to society that we collectively go, oh shit, it's really gotten out of hand and I'm part of it. I mean,
This is,
there was
I mean, I think you're going to see that sort of reaction in the 2022 midterm elections. I think Republicans are going to take back the House because people are kind of seeing this and responding to it. But I don't think it's to the point where you're kind of talking about Zeus. But to me, I'm seeing it already. And I know Mike's probably seeing it already, but this is crazy.
It's
No,
there's a lack of accountability. I mean, we have a lack of accountability from the top down. I mean,
What's
there's
with the kid gloves? I mean,
we literally just handed hundreds of, I mean, how much was it? Weapons that we just left for the Taliban?
80 billion.
yeah,
$80 billion worth of death dealing machinery was left on the doorstep of the people that are going to use it for the worst reasons. Accountability, you're right, man. Nobody is being held accountable for shit.
No, Trump is.
Trump is. But the guy who left all those
God.
weapons for the Taliban, he's the one that's lecturing us on gun control.
Yeah.
Think about that.
You talk
What's
about no accountability.
irony again?
No, I mean, you want to talk about the biggest example of no accountability. I mean, has Biden accepted responsibility for anything?
He doesn't think he did anything wrong.
Nope.
Things are better now.
Things are better. Yeah, I mean, things are so much better.
I mean, the economy's booming. What jobs are
I don't
great.
see any
What else
problems.
do you want?
It's
Yeah.
just a messaging problem.
Oil prices are
According to Biden.
down. There's not like, under his presidency, there's not like an unforeseen a nationwide shortage of food for babies. Which I think that's, if you want my opinion, a little conspiracy theory here, that's completely fucking manufactured. And people are buying in.
What's manufactured?
So with the baby food, it was basically, there was like a recall, but it was such a huge recall, it like wiped out most of the supply. Is that what happened?
There were two, as far as I know, there were two children that I believe died from some kind of poisoning. Maybe they were just made ill. I think they died though. And one thing that they had in common is they both had baby formula that was manufactured at this plant by Abbott, which is the name of the company that is responsible for about 40%, I believe, of the baby formula sold in this country. And so last fall, they moved to the FDA kind of moved to shut it down. And nobody thought about the fact that they were shutting down a plant that supplied 40% of the country's baby formula. Because again, this is the same government that we're always told they can solve every problem, right? Global warming, because that's what's serious. They can solve anything, right? They got it all. So they can't even do this right. But anyway, so instead of, they did the investigation, found out it had nothing to do with the plant. And the FDA has been slow walking getting this thing reopened, and I think they just reopened it like 2 days ago, finally, because somebody, now it has the attention. So, but this has been going on for 6 or 8 months. There's stories that were in newspapers in September that were talking about this last September, that this was going to be an issue. So, again, these people that in government that are responsible for this sort of thing, they have no accountability. They just wash their hands of it. And then there's people, useful idiots in our society that are like, we need to hand these people more responsibility. We need to give them more things to be responsible for. It's like madness. It's total madness.
Here's the appalling thing about it is we're living in this world now where, like, for instance, I get some shit because I stick to my guns about the COVID numbers. I don't buy the COVID numbers at all. Yes, of course, people have died, and yes, a lot have died. But it's like this. You can't have a thought about something that opposes the popular opinion.
Not the popular opinion. Not the popular opinion. The official.
No. Here, well, allow me.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is that Yes, it is tragic that 2 children died from this.
But they did.
And I would want heads on stakes if it was my kids. But the pragmatist would have to say that that's not something that should shut down the entire food supply for all babies. You would think, if I was president or vice president, Mike was president, that we would go with some kind of testing. You know, you test it, you find out if it's safe, and you send it out, so that you don't completely shut down that supply,
Right.
but
Be
rather
limited.
you
can like look at the number and figure out which exact assembly line it came off of, and just shut down that one.
And they've known that it wasn't this plant for about 5+ months now.
Well, how about
So
this?
This is the federal government effing it up. That's what it is, and that's why you don't hear a lot about it. They just talk about the shortage. And then what's our non-taking responsibility president do? He's blaming. They come out and they say, we have too few baby formula manufacturers. Big baby formula, there's only like 3 companies that do it. We need to break up this monopoly. Like everything is, they're always like this, man. They're always pointing somewhere else.
When attention to the man behind the curtain.
I mean, zero accountability, man. But
and here's the thing: whatever poisoned it or made it dangerous, it couldn't have been over 5 months that it was going on, or we would have had more deaths. So the idea of shutting it all down based on, again, God, I love babies, man. There's nothing, I'm not at all diminishing that. But what I'm saying is that should have been your red flags, and you should have jumped on it. And it should have only been, I'd be interested in finding out what the time difference was between these children dying, because that should roughly be,
well, Zeus, I mean,
the amount of the product that they would be intensely investigating. Everything before that, you know, because there are expiration dates for years ahead on most of these things.
But the whole point is that the people that are in charge with this are incompetent, and they are still in the job. And 4 guys sitting here on a podcast are like thinking of like better ideas how to handle this. That's the problem. It's not, has nothing to do with the specific issue. It's the overarching thing around it, because this happens, this baby formula situation, it happens 100 times a day, all throughout all the levels of our bureaucracy, right? It happens all the time. So
yeah, it's
this one is just particularly, you know, horrible.
I don't want babies to be at risk, but isn't it also dangerous? So now you've got moms that are driving across the border to Mexico to get baby food, or they're trying to make their own baby food at home. I mean, at a certain point, this is going to get dangerous. So
Abbott had been trying to get this plant open again for like the last 5 or 6 months, and the people that are holding it back were the FDA, even after they knew it wasn't from the plant. I don't know why, but that's the, you know, probably someone didn't fill out the right form 2564 or sign it in triplicate or something stupid like that. It's probably what it is. But the government knows best, everybody. Come on.
I think you're being
is this
sarcastic.
a leadership issue that's causing all this problem?
Lack of leadership issue.
Going off the rails because of just bad leadership?
Centralized planning, man. I mean, again, it's not a good idea. Not a good idea. I mean, you know, I don't know. I look at like these prosecutors again. Why are there groups that are funding the election and the campaigns of these city prosecutors that are amazingly slack on bringing cases in our major cities? Like, these are, they have one thing in common. They have the same people who are funding. So what's the reason? Are they trying to sow chaos? I mean, what is the reason? Are they
I
true
think there
believers?
is. I think there is I don't want to call it a cabal, but I do think that there is a sinister element that is more about profit. And they realize that when all this baby formula comes back into play, mark my words, and we predict well on this show, mark my words, that baby formula will be at least 10% more expensive. We do it with gas. We do it with our freedoms. I mean, again, there's actually a part of me that is actually for the Patriot Act now, to a certain degree, in the sense that we could stop some of these deaths from these mass shootings by looking at keywords and I mean, there is something to be said for that. Now, do I like the overarching power that it has? No, but we're getting out of control. And
but the people, the problem with that, Zeus, sorry to jump in, but
you've always got a problem.
The people that are in charge, that are watching the text that people are sending, they're looking for the wrong things. They're looking for people that are, complaining about at the school board. They're looking for parents that don't like, the transgender teachings. In
like
schools.
that poor son of a bitch that just went in to protect he got pissed off because the transgender kid had raped his daughter or something, and then
this was in Loudoun County.
What happened was beat up.
A girl, they had transgender bathrooms, so they let this boy that identified as a girl, they let him go into the girl's bathroom. He goes in there, rapes the girl. Now, okay, that's a crime. That's one problem. But what they did, they took the boy and just transferred him to another school.
And he did
did the same thing in another school, and they didn't tell the parents. That's the problem.
Well,
okay,
and
crime can happen. That's one thing. But where's the transparency? Tell everybody about it. They didn't want to tell everybody because they wanted to protect this trans agenda about the trans bathrooms and bathrooms for boys and girls. That was what they were trying to protect rather than protect the kids.
I'm not even against that. I mean, I'm fine with, like, it's a kid and they're confused, maybe they're dead on. Maybe they know exactly how they want to be. But this kid clearly was
taking advantage of the situation.
Or let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Clearly he was fucking insane and picked and chose when he got to use his insanity and when he didn't.
I don't think it's clearly that he was insane because they moved him to another school.
He dressed up as a girl so he could rape girls.
It's not clear to them for some reason. Why?
It doesn't matter what the intention was. It's the action. He raped somebody.
That's what I was going to say.
End of sentence. Right. Out of the school. Like, what's the problem?
How about in jail or?
I don't know why he raped this person. Let's talk about it. See what
let's spend time investigating why he forced himself into another person.
I don't care. He needs to be out of school, man.
No. I'm.
I don't care why he did it.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying let's spend the time thinking about that and less about the actual crime. It really is. It's quite frightening. It's a.
Look, it's like I said, there is a thin veneer in our civil society where everyone plays by the rules, and when you play by the rules, and then you see other people aren't playing by the rules and doing better on things than you are,
right,
everything starts to fall apart, man. And then, like, what Zeus is calling like this chaos, or like the world's crazy. I don't think the world's crazy right now, but it's definitely got some major issues.
Collectively stressed.
And
I think we need Prozac in the fucking water.
And you look at, like, leadership, and again, I'm not trying to like make this about politics or anything, but we just had the president of the United States, what erased like $10,000 of student debt for people that were in school from a certain time to a certain time.
Yeah.
But what about the people that paid off their loans before that? And what about people that are going to be taken out? What about people taking out loans this coming fall who aren't? I mean, in other words, what was the intention? He's trying to buy votes for this for this November's election.
It's just pandering.
Period. It's so blatant, it's ridiculous. But no one in the media will say that. But I mean, what purpose is it to just suspend or to rid the debt of these group of people?
Let me ask you this question.
We know, but you're not allowed to say that.
Is there any of these schools that these kids go to, such as Berkeley or Harvard? Have these schools even reduced their tuition, even by a penny?
No.
Okay,
They're running the greatest grifting operation ever, man. I mean,
the schools are raising their tuitions at an alarming rate
because anyone can get funding, and there's a million grants, and there's a million ways to get free money from the government. So the schools and there's
I'm
no
all
one
for free tuition. If a school wants to let students come in for free,
you will never ever in
great.
a bazillion years hear anyone from the Democrat Party suggest that schools should reduce their tuition. I don't want to pay
for it through taxpayer money. If the schools want to make it free, they can do that. But it shouldn't come from the government.
Like I said, again, that's just an example, but we are rudderless. Our country right now, from a leadership standpoint, is rudderless. We are being driven by 20-year-old journalism majors on Twitter right now. Like, they are the ones that are driving the narrative for our country, and it's freaking frightening, to be honest with you.
It's rudderless. Too much gutter, not enough rudder.
Exactly.
That's what I say. That's my T-shirt.
I mean,
go ahead, Jason.
Yeah,
jump in there.
Sometimes I wonder if just how out of proportion, how much of it is perception. Like, if you just stop watching the news, ignore, if you just go about your life, things just sort of seem fairly normal a lot of the time. Like,
I think about that with climate change. It's like I go outside, it's like such a nice day. Doesn't seem like the world is coming to an end. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just absolutely everything is shotgunned into our eye sockets. Every tiny little infraction or horror story, just every day, no matter where it is. There's just no perception of scale or relevance.
But the argument, Jason, would be, okay, if you put blinders on and you don't pay attention to this stuff, are you just fooling yourself?
Well, that's part of the problem is when power is consolidated and centralized, it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be paying attention to absolutely everything on the national level. I mean, because you can't solve problems, everyday problems. We have to find our way back to a more local focus, a more community focus.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's done, but somehow.
Yeah, it's the way it started. I mean, again, entropy is, this country was founded by decentralizing power, and it's been being centralized more and more every day since we've been born. I mean, since the country was founded, right? So it's a matter of degree. I don't know exactly how you reverse it. I guess through rebellion in some way, shape, or form, because the federal government is never. Well,
insurrection, man.
Some sort of rebellion. I don't. It doesn't have to be some sort of rebellion, right? Not necessarily like physically fighting, but some things, people standing up. But the federal government's never going to just be like, you know what, man, we fucked up. Let's go back and let's start over. They're never going to do that, man. And they are incapable of fixing the problems that they cause. That's never going to happen either. So it's how far will things go too far, where when people finally, when it dawns on them what's going on, will there be any redemption available, or will it have slid too far? I don't know. I mean, you've got people have their retirement savings and their 401ks and their investments in mutual funds, right? And you've got mutual funds now that the the SEC is pushing to make sure that companies that they're investing in are following this, what was it, like ESG or something, like they have to have certain environmental and social
Right.
and governance measures, have a certain number, certain quotas of people on their board and investing in green energy and fighting climate change or whatever, which has completely nothing to do with companies making money. And the money that's in Jason's 401k is being directed to companies based on one of our political parties' agendas, which is completely detached from the profit motive. Do you think that's going to help or hurt Jason's account? Like, do you think it helps or hurts, like when you make decisions for investments based on, does this company believe in climate change, or is this company making
Right.
money? Right.
Or even
I don't
worse.
think Jason is a good argument because I think he's got $12 in his 401k.
I'm just saying, when people start waking up to that
$4.
sort of stuff, and to answer Jason's question, I totally agree, man. It's like I go through times where I stop. I just stop listening to stuff. But if you think back, little thought experiment, what if you were not paying attention to anything, and then like COVID hit, and you go to get on an airplane, they're like, you need a vaccine pass. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I mean, it will eventually cross your path. It'll eventually get
It's
to
kind
you
of like
one way or the other.
in like the 1940s, if you didn't watch the news, you wouldn't know that there was a world war going on.
Mhm. Yeah.
You go about your day. Seems like everything's fine. You turn
People
on the
not-
news and the world is.
I mean,
is
people
being
wouldn't know
destroyed.
who won the presidential election for months sometimes.
Well, how about, I mean,
back in the day.
The big one for that is Dewey wins, right? Where everybody thought that, I don't know the complete story, but
Dewey
it
defeats
was
Truman.
Truman and Dewey, right? And Truman, they called everybody, and Dewey called only the white people because he figured they were the only ones that voted. And sure enough, papers came out saying Dewey wins, but it was far from the fact. In fact, I think it was a landslide for Truman, right?
I don't recall that it was a landslide, but yeah, he handedly beat him. It wasn't super close.
We live in a world that is primed for inspiring fear and anxiety and confusion and misdirection, where I fear for my children. Actually, I mean, maybe not. I mean, they're resilient and they are smart. My boys are real bright, and they see certain things, and I'm impressed by it because they're not being trained to. They're not being taught to think. They're being taught to go with whatever the popular opinion is, and if you're doing that, then you're fine. If you're not, then you're a rabble rouser. You're trouble. But yeah, man, I mean, I pray for our future, our kids.
Another example of like government going after like middle class. I mean, the whole thing with Loudoun County, and the Justice Department is basically threatening and going after parents, like who want to have a say in their children's education. So, and that's being all spun, a million different directions. Radical parents with, homophobic ideas and all this crazy stuff. I mean, and then it's like criminals are not even getting charged with stuff. It cannot sustain. It cannot sustain, because either the people who are maintaining the civil society are going to rebel in some way, shape, or form, either at the voting booth or what have you, or it's just going to all go down the toilet. So I lean more towards the former than the latter, because like I said, lately in the last year or so, I've really come to the realization that there are more people that think that this is crazy, and the people that are like watching MSNBC are in the minority, but the people, they have the bullhorn. They punch above their weight. They seem like there's a lot more of them than there are. That's my
Point being,
gut feeling.
that incident in Loudoun County with the bathroom and the rape, it did lead to a Republican winning the gubernatorial election,
Mm-hmm.
the last one. So you'll see that sort of change in the when the public sees like one side of the leadership going too far, and hopefully we'll see some more of that, because I think the country needs it, because there's too much of this defund the police and this sort of lax approach to crime. It's not good.
And, I mean, I've said it before, much to Tor's chagrin last week, but I was like, I'm voting for not Biden next time around, which probably, and honestly, I'll probably vote Republican, because I need to see a shift to the opposite direction of the way things are going right now. Right now, I don't even watch the news anymore. You know where I get my news? Right here. I listen to you guys.
That's not a good idea.
I mean,
Yeah, not a good
Don't
idea.
do that.
no, you guys pay a lot of attention to it, and I'd like to think that I'm very much a pragmatist, and I listen to what you guys say, and I give my spin. I've said it before. I do little to no research unless it's one of the shows, that it's my idea, then I'll throw more into it. But I like to come into it learning from you guys, getting your spins, and I've argued with you guys that I don't agree on things. We need more people that do that. We don't, I mean, you talk about decay of society. I think let's look at it from a medical standpoint. The quickest cause of decay is stagnation and letting things sit untreated. And that's where we are right now, where we're not treating the problems. We're simply letting them overcome rational thinking, good behavior. And, good behavior and rational thinking are definitely they can be argued. What is good? What is
the problem is
rational?
It's a conscious choice.
You're always arguing with me, Tom.
Those tents that you're seeing and the crime that's not being prosecuted, they don't want to. They're like worried. It's like, let's not upset the homeless people. Let's make sure they're happy.
Or they're
We don't
Or
want
the
to
music
offend
is playing
anyone.
and they're setting the dance to it. They're saying, yeah, let's let these people, this makes a good visual. Let's let people sleep on the streets in front of businesses. I bet you if we were really to explore where these tents are being placed, where they're being allowed to do it are probably in areas that it would be productive.
It's everywhere now.
powers
I mean,
that be.
it's spread so much. It's everywhere. Downtown. It's in front of like the Beverly Hills. If you can own a mansion in
Beverly Hills. That's what I'm saying.
You'll have a freaking tent
I'm
at
saying
the end
that,
of your driveway.
And again,
no, you
like I
won't.
said, people,
Yes, you will. Yes,
like
you will.
people will say, if you're like, man, we need to like do something about this. Like that our media will say that's not being compassionate, as though it's compassionate to have a human being living in a tent under an underpass who's subject to violence and theft and abuse and things like that by other people. Like that's supposed to be compassionate, and if you raise this, you're being non-compassionate. I mean, the whole thing is like on its head. I mean, it's absurd. And again, I'm old enough to remember
you need
not
to be
seeing that.
compassionate, but a little bit of
Compassionate is like trying to find out what the issue is and getting people to a point where they're not living in a freaking tent under an underpass.
You just come through with the billy clubs and you say, okay, move along,
Not
move
really.
along, people.
I'm just saying.
You'll clear out those tents pretty quick. That's all it takes.
Well,
they just don't want to
come
do
on
that.
though, dude. We've all heard the adage, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. We're not doing that. And honestly, there's so much unused real estate in the United States alone that yes, you might have to displace somebody, but guess what? They're unhoused already. So give them a house in a place.
It's not going to help either, man.
They
It's
don't
the
want
root.
that.
You're treating the
They're
result.
drug users. They
You can't-
want to be there on the street. It's convenient. It's cheaper.
Oh, I don't
can't-
think they're worried about their fundage.
No, they don't want to pay $1,000 per month for an apartment. They could just have a tent right there on the street. They're closer to everything they
Look,
want to be close to.
It's
And they
like
get the drugs that they want.
if you have a dam that's like half broken and it's like
Language.
flooding the town below, what you're talking about, Zeus, is the equivalent of running around with towels and giving everyone towels and be like, here, I'm here to help you from the flood. Here's a towel. It's like,
No,
hey, how about we
I'm
fix
not-
the
I'm not
dam?
saying-
I don't know about fixing the dam, but here's a towel. Like, I'm talking
I'm
about fixing the dam. Like, let's fix.
Dude, come on, you
the
know me
root-
better than that. I don't.
I know.
don't
I'm just
let-
saying. I'm saying in
Well,
general.
I'm not saying that's the solution, but I'm saying that for us to say that we don't have resources to make things better is fucking ridiculous.
You said that like 2 episodes ago. Mike was arguing with you that we did have the FBI agents to investigate certain things. You were saying that we didn't have enough staff. And
No, I said that I said, well, we can't solve all the problems. And that one was clearly hinky to begin with. So, I mean, it would be foolish to waste it on that.
Look, we've got the staff. We're just not using it. The police are getting, the morale is dropping so fast because
How could it not?
they can't arrest anyone. There's no point to it. And the mayors of these cities are telling them not to enforce the crimes, not to arrest anyone, to let the riots happen, or to don't touch the homeless, leave them there.
Decisions
policy.
are being made
It's policy.
politically.
It's not manpower. It's
Yeah.
policy.
No
decisions are
offense,
being
Tom,
made
but
for
you're
political
twisting
reasons.
my words a little. You're twisting what I said a little. In the case of that with the election, that's a shorter term, and yes, it could expand and become worse the next election and further on and further on. Yes, I get that. But this people living on the streets, I'm just saying that those resources can be handled more broadly. What we're talking about with a fixed election is expending a great deal of manpower on a small,
They won't even put like
concentrated.
one agent onto the case.
That would probably cause him to commit suicide. I think that's too much for one. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they
I'm
won't
saying-
even put one agent onto the case, is what I'm saying.
Well, if that movie was any sign of the evidence they've got, then I can understand why they wouldn't. It was garbage.
Well, you know how you get evidence? You put people on the case to find out.
Right.
That's how you do it.
There's evidence.
It doesn't
there's
like it
enough
just gets
there
sent to you in the mail
But you
deep
look
throat.
into it.
You don't inspire people to do that by using security footage that doesn't have a time date stamp on it.
Okay.
That
I'm
was
not
real.
defending the movie.
Hey,
I'm
follow
just-
up to
No,
that
I'm just saying. I'm
episode.
just saying.
No. I went back and looked at other actual security video of around the country. There was no time date stamp. I don't know. Maybe they don't do that anymore. Maybe that was the old VCR.
Or maybe it disproved what they were saying, because
No. It
there-
wasn't just that movie. You find any video of any surveillance, it doesn't have to come from the 2000 Mules movie. Find me a video that has a date timestamp on it. They're just not.
I'd be
doing that
interested,
anymore.
and I very well could be wrong, but you showed all those videos at the beginning that showed security footage. Go back when you have a chance and look and see if there's time date stamps on it.
There's not. That's what I'm saying. You find one that does have a time date stamp on it.
There must be a reason, and fair enough.
They just don't
I
use
will
it
admit,
anymore. That doesn't invalidate it.
maybe it's used in evidence. Like if you see it in court, it's on there. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they don't
Maybe it's like
display it on the
very
news
bottom of the
because it's.
screen or something in the small print or something.
I could see why they might not show it on the news, because it could help with an alibi, things like that. So maybe there is something to that.
But the point is, I mean, they have manpower. The police are just not being utilized. They're being told to stand down. That's the problem.
Do you think that the mass shopliftings, do you think that, I mean, how much can companies withstand that before they just close up? I mean, does it really hurt?
Some
I mean,
that are shutting down already.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of some CVS's that are, but like the luxury brands, like, you know, they say like a Louis Vuitton store was robbed and, you know,
Oh,
$500,000, and it's like really like $20,000 worth of stuff, but the
Those things are
markup
worth
is so
10
high.
cents a
Like, did they
bag.
let them claim the retail price? I don't know. But in your store, Jason, is it food people are taking, or do you have like products that you sell as well that they're taking?
Like all.
All?
It's like we're we basically share space with a restaurant. Opened up like during the pandemic, so it was sort of a shot in the dark. And
Yeah.
there was wine that was stolen.
Oh,
This
wow.
woman came in. She took. There used to be a tip jar, and she just. I think the first time she just sort
Stole
of
the tip
brazenly
jar.
walked in, like looked us right in the eye as she took money out of the tip jar and then just started screaming, "It's my money! It's my money! It's my money!"
And then she
Um,
threw a cat at you.
Wow,
she
man.
took stuff that was on the shelf. Yeah, just
I
yeah.
almost respect the one that does it just looks at you like you've done wrong.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dude.
I had this. There was this young guy who just sort of. I don't know if he was on something, but like it was during COVID, and we're like, there's only one person allowed in at a time. He just sort of came in. He just started like I don't even know what he was saying. He was cursing. There was a customer in there. He wasn't. He was just like, I don't know, young, soon to be gang member guy, and he put his foot up on something, and I was looking at him. I'm like, what's going on here? And he just started like saying, "You better not be staring at me when I get done with this. If I kid you stare at me, I'm going to smack you." So of course, I'm like, I stare at him and take a step forward. Let's see how this plays out. So he finished tying his shoe, and he looked up at me, and I'm like, "You made a promise." And he's so I started shuffling him out the door, and he was just like, "Get your hands off me! I love you, man."
Yeah. It's like shifting gears.
Just like, what are you doing? It's just odd.
Yeah.
Just all
I
kinds of
found
weird
standing
stuff.
like this and looking at a person comes across as quite intimidating. Just,
Yeah.
There's so much
Yeah.
mental illness out there. I think a
Awesome.
lot of them are escaping from Zeus's facility. He's doing a bad job.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Oh,
that's one of
dude.
the problems is the mental illness that's all over the place, and the drug abuse.
Man, it's both. It's but one is a symptom of the other. I think the drug abuse is just a symptom of the mental health issues, man. We could have, a three-parter on mental health and the negative effects and the epidemic that we're going to have with mental health after all this COVID and shortages and war and fucking no pursuit crime. We're gonna have people. We're gonna have just a series of fucking basket cases.
But seriously, isn't that an issue? That's one of the issues, is that they're just releasing people that have mental issues. They just release them back out onto the streets.
I don't even think they're being taken care of to begin with.
Hey,
it's not. I'm just saying in general, the majority, you got to get to a
here's
certain
the
point.
problem.
You got to
Here's the
get to a certain
problem.
point to meet Zeus. There's a lot of people that
Yes.
are under the radar.
Okay. I see what you're saying there, but once they get through my doors, we try and take care of them. But the problem is that generally the rule of thumb is that if they are no longer a threat to themselves or others, they're usually free to go. Now that doesn't cover, theft and
You could still be crazy.
Oh yeah, you can be a fucking basket case. I mean,
let just
people
walking down the street, talking to yourself,
What's wrong with that?
on the subway, just screaming at the top of your lungs.
Yeah. or screaming at the clouds.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you can. We've literally had people walk out the doors that were not a danger to themselves or others, but clearly thought they were Jesus.
Right.
So,
not ready to resume their place in a functioning society.
Right. They're not going out to get that, 6-figure job. They're more than likely going to go and collect money on the corner of,
they're going to go steal
Arlington
Jason's tip jar
Boulevard.
is what they're going to do.
Right. I do love the guy. I'll bet the guy was not nearly big enough to even be a threat to you either.
No, he
tiny
was,
guy.
He was young and very skinny.
That is the funny thing about the mentally infirm is they got big ones made of brass, man. They will. I mean, you all know me. I'm like 6'2", 240. I'm not a small guy, and I have had some seriously unintimidating people come up and go, "I'll smack the taste out your mouth," and I'm like, "All right." Let's do that. And they just they come to their senses, which makes you question how insane they actually are, because that survival instinct kicks in real quick. But I think we're digressing from the point. One thing I wanted to mention about what you were talking about earlier, though, Tom, is this shoplifting thing.
And Seymour, actually.
Seymour.
What's that?
Seymour Butts.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I myself am Craven Moorhead. But I was thinking about this. And I was talking to Mike about it earlier, and it's not necessarily a new phenomenon. It's been going on for a long time. So I think it's just integrated itself into different parts of society. But this whole storming a place with 80 people, and 80's an exaggeration, but like 10 people, and stealing as much as you can is not a new thing. This is like Irish travelers do it, gypsies have been known to do it, and these are real elements in society. They're just real. I mean, gypsies go back thousands, maybe they go back a long way, and Irish travelers follow a lot of that thought process. And they're the ones that scam the people with the tarring their driveways. There's it's like 20% tar and the rest is gravel, and they ruin these people's driveways. I mean, these things have been going on. I think it's just becoming more brazen, and people are latching on to these quick scams because everybody's worried about everything else, man. They're not worried about you ripping them off when 10 of you walk into the store. They're worried about the fact that you're not wearing a mask. Right. You know what I mean?
You'd probably get arrested if you weren't wearing a mask.
Right. And dude, I am like, when they said you don't have to wear a mask, man, take that fucker off, man. I don't wear a mask anywhere except
that's the problem. Not prosecuting the crimes seems to me to be the problem.
Yeah, it's human nature.
No, it's worse than that. It's fear of repercussions of, oh my God, I may have offended somebody because I went after them for breaking a law. Because God forbid they be of a certain lifestyle or ethnicity or anything that is not the more common in the United States right now. If you accuse somebody of doing something, you have to go through it in your head and go, okay, do they fit this? Do they fit that? Do they fit this? Do they fit that? And then if they do, then you can go after them. But otherwise, you're in fear of being offensive. And I got no beef with anybody, man. I like everyone, or I hate everybody equally. Pick one. But point being is, man, we're living in this weird place where we have to question our decisions to a degree of where we go, well, fuck it, we're just not going to follow that guy because God forbid we picked the wrong guy to follow, and then I lose my job. And they attacked me, so I attacked them. Then it becomes something that falls under the hate category. And none of this was the thought process in the beginning of this whole thing. Though the way it began was somebody broke the law. They took from people who were providing or trying to, you know, help society or just be a functional part of society. And now they're in jeopardy of their whole life being turned upside down simply because they were trying to do what was right. You know, you guys were joking about how I went after that guy that escaped from our ED. And I mean, I had a discussion with a friend the other day, and they were like, we were talking about something else where I thought the person was tough, and they're like, well, you're tough. And I'm like, no, I'm not tough. I'm just trying to do what's right. Me going after this clearly mental patient, my thought process was he's running into an apartment complex full of kids playing in playgrounds, and how am I going to live with myself? So maybe it's not all that altruistic. Maybe there's a little selfish intent there. I don't want to feel bad because I didn't do something, but I can't help. I mean, action for me is far more important than a loss of action. You got to run towards the fire every once in a while. You often find that you can avoid the flames. You know, you got to do the right things. That's what's going wrong, is people are not doing the right things because they're worried about how it's going to affect them negatively.
I mean, people of good character will do the right thing regardless, right?
But they're the ones that are suffering right now.
And that's a certain percentage of the population. And then there's other people that will just do the wrong thing. And then there's other people that will do the right thing if someone's looking or what. It's a variance, right? So what we're in right now, and this is not like everyone getting together being like, you know what, we should like not pursue these crimes. This is top down. This is the powers that be, the governments in these cities, police departments, federal government. This is coming from the top down. This is not people wanting this. I mean, you look back at like when in 2020 when Minneapolis was burning and there were people that were like, why are they burning down my neighborhood, man? Like people that lost their homes and businesses and stuff like that, who are from the neighborhood. They weren't for it. They weren't out there cheering it on. And no one writes about those people. You know, they don't get mentioned. But it's not like there's this cry of civilians out there being like, we want to go easier on criminals. That's not what's happening. It's coming from the media, the party, the government.
And again, that's all about dance, little monkeys, dance. It's like keep the I always get them mixed up. I think we're the proletariat, the smaller, you know, the tiny ones that don't make a lot. But it's keep us busy with all these things that are distraction from what our innate human nature really is. And what I really believe our human nature is nobody wants to get up and do bad things. I mean, yes, there is an element that does that, but I think most of us just want to get through the day, have a couple smiles.
Nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to hurt anybody.
Right.
As they say.
But
Yeah.
the problem, like Mike was saying,
fucking interrupt me again, Tom.
Yeah. The tone is set from the top down. When in 2020, when Biden and Kamala are running for president and they don't speak out against all the riots and the violence and the burning down of business, they don't say a single negative word about it the entire year.
The whole summer. And actually are raising money to get people out.
Yeah. I mean,
meanwhile, women who are, and I'm not love women, but this I found really, really bothersome.
Here it comes.
They were running around with hats on that
was earlier.
That looked like
you don't have
clitorises. And then they were using terms like pussy power, all these things that if now we were to say that, we would be being degrading and I just, thanks,
As soon
Tom.
as you said that
Tried
word,
to, I
he was
tried
gonna
to say something, but
go up to bed.
Oh, I didn't see him. I'm sorry.
this is the
I'm
time in the
sorry.
episode when all the language starts flying and Michael appears.
No,
This-
but
there's
okay.
like, we
well,
should do a super cut because there's got to be like 25 episodes that this has happened.
It happens every time.
No, but my point is that if we were to use those same terms and those hats by today's standards would be considered offensive. And
I
I
don't
know
think so.
people that were there.
Let me tell you
What?
something. Those pussy hat women, they're just a bunch of dickheads because
Pussy hat women.
they're just a bunch of dickheads.
Wait, mark the time. It is 10:52. We started at right around 9:30, just to make the editing a little easier.
I mean, it's so vulgar. And they were demanding to come in and to the White House and speak with Donald Trump. I'd be like, no, you're not coming in here with those vulgar attitudes. And
That sounds like an insurrection.
yeah, exactly.
That was where I started to really lose my fervor for the Democratic Party like I had, was when I saw Trump won the election, pretty fair. Yeah, there was arguing, but they not like there was this time around. And I was watching people rioting and throwing trash cans through windows, and I'm like, you fucking won, you assholes. What the, or rather, the sour grapes of it is what bothered me. I'm sorry. Edit that whole little thing that I just said. It was the sour grapes of it is of you lost, we lost, whatever. And was this before the pussy power thing or?
Yeah,
after?
it was during the
Like
election.
right around the same time.
That the Women's March thing was inauguration day, leading up to
Yeah.
inauguration day. It was later.
But I saw like trash cans being thrown through Starbucks windows, and it's like, this is not how I would have handled this at all. And at the time, I was like, this is effing ridiculous. And it's another sign of the decay of society. It's like, now if we get mad, we throw tantrums.
Not we. I'm just saying, it's not everyone. I mean, this is not a group psychosis. It's not like everybody that behaves that way.
Let's not hold judgment on that yet. Let's see what happens in
Just
the next
saying.
election.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it ain't over till it's over. This could very well go wrong the other way around, but what I'm saying is what we've observed is certainly bad behavior.
What I was observing, especially in 2016, you see all the response to Trump being elected, the violence, people were being pulled out of cars,
the end
and
of the
punched
world,
in the
man.
face if they voted for Trump.
Burning cars.
Yeah, so the Democrats were revealing themselves to be the party of hate at that point. And it's just kind of extrapolated from there. What we're seeing today are the results of that when that party takes over nationwide and has control over these cities, and they don't crack down on crime. They let people get away with things. They legalize more and more drug use. They let people slide with shoplifting. They let people slide with living on the street in a tent. It builds and it builds and it gets worse and it gets worse and worse.
Look, the thing is, chaos, the ideology that the current Democrat Party is espousing, it requires constant struggle, right? Constant fight, constant counter-revolution, whatever you want to call it. There's never a problem that's solved, right? I mean, you've got cities, you've got school systems that have been getting more and more money for 60 years that still are graduating like, a fraction, single digit percentages of their students. There is never an issue that's put forth as a problem that all of a sudden gets solved one day. it's perpetual struggle. So again, having everything be chaotic, having everything be, constant revolution, it's by design. It's by design. It's not an accident. I mean,
yeah, you just set up a program. When there's a problem, you set up a program, you start paying people. It's just the government gets larger and larger, but the problems don't go away.
Right. They come up with more programs to fix the problems with the programs that they had before. And again, trying to have central planning, centralized power. We've already learned this as human beings. It's a miserable failure. It has never, ever worked for any sustainable amount of time without major, human suffering involved with it. So, but there's people that think it's a great idea, and they're in positions of power right now. So,
well, and
there you go.
It's such a crying shame because the 90s, which was, don't crush me on this if I'm wrong, but the 90s was
the music,
basically a very Democratic heavy decade, and it was a pretty damn good decade. Like
different Democrats,
right? Then that's kind of one of the things that's why it's such a shame because there was dissent, but it was rational. It was let's fight the right fights kind of era. I mean, if you want to talk Rome and are we about to plummet, that may have been our golden little period of time where great art, great music, great movies, just everything was kind of.
Here's the fact: Bill Clinton could not win his party's nomination today. Zero chance. He probably wouldn't even get any funding.
Well, and that can be
Bill Clinton would never be elected today as a Democrat.
You're correct, and that's why McCain was never going to get president, because McCain was kind of the Republican, not exactly the Republican version of Clinton, but he had some progressive thought processes. He was willing to go across the aisle. He was willing to fight for, good things, and not always agree with his.
I would say that Clinton is just shifty enough that he might change with.
Okay.
He's one that would follow whichever way the wind is blowing.
Touche, but Clinton of the 90s could not win today.
Correct.
I'm saying,
but he would change. Clinton,
he would.
By definition, he'll
that's
change
a good
to whatever he
clarification.
needs to do to win.
Maybe the man could,
but does that mean
the policies wouldn't? What he espoused, if you took him and what he was saying.
But does that mean that he was a bad president, or that the times were more accommodating to him?
It doesn't. There's no one thing that makes someone a bad or good president. I mean, there's things that Clinton did that were good. There's things he did that were not good, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he kept us out of war for 8 years.
A blowjob in the Oval Office.
Well, he lied. That was the thing. Well, he lied.
He didn't lie. I've told you
oath.
Before. He said, I did not have sex with that woman. And he was pointing to.
He said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yeah.
And he did.
Well,
but he was
depends
pointing
on
to
what your
somebody
definition of is.
Right.
Exactly. Listen, guys, I got to get going. Man, I got to upload this last.
Let me close this out.
Yeah.
So on Zeus's note about we need more people to run into the fire, we'll close this out. I'm going to give you couple of positive. I really wanted to share these with you because these two, I love these examples. This came from Uvalde. I'm going to show these to you. So the first one is, what's her name? Angela.
Jennifer Connelly. Oh,
no. Let me open this up. Okay. I'm going to play this. It's only about 60 seconds. So listen to this.
Right away as I parked, U.S. Marshals started coming toward my car saying that I wasn't allowed to be parked there. And he said, well, we're going to have to arrest you because you're being very uncooperative. I said, well, you're going to have to arrest me because I'm going in there, and I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers, and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, I'm going in there. He immediately put me in cuffs.
She says after Uvalde police officers told marshals to uncuff Gomez, she ran towards the school.
As soon as they uncuffed me, I jumped that first gate fence, and once I jumped it, I went to my son's class, and I knocked on the door, and I remember the teacher saying, I'm like, hey, they're already bulge cutting the fence to get me. She's like, you think we have time to get out? I said, y'all have time. I'm gonna run for my other son.
Once she was assured her son was okay.
I love this. This is Angela Gomez, a parent, and the parents down in Uvalde, they were being tased and arrested.
Yeah.
They just wanted to go in and do what the police were not doing. What a brave woman. And this woman works in the fields. She gets dusty. She was embarrassed that day to show up because she was all covered in dust from being in the fields picking crops. If there's somebody out there that wants to give this woman a job, she should be the chief of police.
Yeah,
down in Uvalde,
100%,
as far as I'm concerned.
Well, clearly you guys are not seeing that this was a false flag.
No, it's not. The other one is this guy. This guy is Jacob Alvarado, off-duty Border Patrol agent. And I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to read to you. So he was in the barbershop getting a haircut. His wife was a teacher at the school. She called him and told him or messaged him, told him what was going on. He looks over to the barber and says, give me your gun. He takes the barber's gun, leaves the barbershop and goes in to the school and shoots the killer. I mean, we need more people like this.
Wow.
Yeah. You know,
and I think there are a lot of people. I think that is I think that is the majority, man. I mean, people, again, you never know what you're going to do, but Jesus, man. I mean, if there was something going down at my daughter's school, I'd at least take my car in through a wall or something. I mean, I would do something. No, and it wouldn't even be a thought. It wouldn't even be.
I'll go in there. You guys are just standing here.
It wouldn't even be a thought. It wouldn't even be like any contemplation at all.
Yeah, dude, I'm in that store in Buffalo, and there's bags and there's canned goods. I got a mace, dude. I'm gonna fucking throw some cans at a motherfucker, and I'm gonna bash him in the head. I mean, I would like to think I would. I'm pretty
I'm just saying,
sure
if it's your kid, I'm saying the other stuff, I don't know. I'd like to think the best, but I can guarantee you, if it was my child, I would have no concern of my own safety, period.
Yeah.
Zero concern.
I agree. So there is
again, yeah. Except that we're all 50.
The policy needs to get out of the way. The policy is preventing good people from doing good work and from helping. It's like I don't know what it is, but they don't want things to go the right direction.
It's almost like it's on purpose.
It's almost like people are trying to beat out our will to fight for a better world.
Yeah, but the other thing, and we said this in another episode, it's like it's far from that though, man. I mean, I just can't. I mean, yesterday was the anniversary, 70th anniversary of D-Day. These are people that in the first wave pretty much knew they were going to get shot, most likely killed. Like the door goes down, poof, whatever. Like the stuff that we're dealing with, like, oh man, CBS and NBC don't agree with me. Like, okay,
the firefighters,
we're okay.
Up those
like
steps
we're gonna be
in the World Trade Center. Everybody else is coming down. They're going up.
That's a serious thing. D-Day is a serious thing. What we have to do and deal with, we're not storming machine gun nests quite yet. So I try to be positive about it.
Outside of what Tom just showed, there's not a lot of inspiring signs of bravery that
are being reported on.
And even in those examples, they weren't allowed to do that. The people in power were trying to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want that woman to go in and save her children. They were trying to tase her and telling her she couldn't go in. I mean, think about that.
It's absolutely mind-boggling to me.
That's what we need. I'll take it back from what I said earlier. We need something that comes along that inspires us to be better again. Not us, not this group. Maybe Jason, but most of us.
Give me a couple more weeks. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Jason's working on something really dramatic and spectacular. Just look for him on the news. But we need something inspiring. There's not a lot of inspiration going on right now.
Well, this show, I think, is
This
going
show-
to inspire a lot of people.
And I think it is, I mean, Zeus, I think there are a lot of inspiring stories. It's just they don't always get reported on. Like, you kind of have to seek them out. But I think there is a lot of inspirational stuff that goes on.
Yeah, but we just saw 2 of them. That's probably the most inspiring things I've seen in a while.
Oh, at a shooting, but people run in and save people from burning cars and house fires and puppy dogs and all that stuff every day.
I'm saying that it has to be, we as a society, as a collective group of people in the United States, in the world, need to start. I mean, maybe we got a little bit with Zelensky, with the Ukraine, but that's starting to turn into like this weird social media fucking nonsense too. We need to see stuff that is inarguably inspirational on a level that makes us all question what we're doing. And it's not happening. It's not happening right now.
I would be remiss if I did not mention that perhaps we need a figure, perhaps in some form of uniform, maybe a long flowing cape, gorgeous blue eyes, musculature.
I like where you're going.
I think we've been on long enough.
Are you saying,
Yes.
wait, are you saying WWHCD?
I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Who's gonna Tom, you gonna sign us off?
All right.
All right, say it, Jack.
All right. I think we've been on long enough, boys. Let's wrap it up.
You fucked it up.
Till next time.
All right.
Till next time.
Adios.
Adios.